So I'm a Rabbi Devorah Lynn, and I'm a co-chair of Jewish Earth Alliance, and I'm going to facilitate the call, or I facilitate our monthly leadership calls. And I want to welcome everybody who's come tonight during this very active week. I know there's a lot of calls and a lot of Zooming going on. So it's been a pretty difficult week, and yet I found it quite hopeful. We're all excited about tomorrow. We'll begin a new administration, a new day, and already President Biden has begun his tenure with impressive appointments. And the DC Circuit Court upheld Obama's Clean Power Plan today. And unlike last year, climate is in the news every single day, it seems now. What a change. So really a complete change from even last year. So one thing I did this week, our local Jewish Climate Action Network had a meeting with Senators Ben Cardin and Van Hollen with their staff from Maryland. And it really highlighted what Jewish Earth Alliance is about. We always think that, oh, the congressional offices, they know everything that's going on, but they really can't keep up. It's impossible. There's just too much to know. And so we can alert them to things that we find are priorities. And I actually alerted them to some embedded disruptors who are at the National Climate Assessment that they need to check up on. And we also highlighted, Mirla talked about the Tongass Forest, and the staffer for, was it Van Hollen, said, oh, well, we don't focus on it because really it doesn't affect Maryland. Mm-hmm. And but Mirla called it the American Amazon, and she went, well, yes, you're really right that it affects us all. And we will look into getting on the Roadless Rule Act, co-sponsoring it. So that was really, very heartening. That's really the power of our advocacy, and it's giving me great hope. So we'll start off our meeting with some inspiration, more inspiration. Our opening guest tonight is Rabbi Isaiah Rothstein, an Orthodox rabbi, a musician, an author, and a public speaker. He was recently the rabbi in residence at Chazon, the Jewish Lab for Sustainability. Most of you are very familiar with it. And Rabbi Rothstein also represented that organization in greeting Greta Thunberg on her arrival to the US. What an honor. And he is now the rabbinic scholar and public affairs advisor to the Jewish Federation of North America. So welcome, Rabbi Rothstein. And please, well, great, we'll hear some music.
Thank you for welcoming me. So friends, if you wouldn't mind putting in the chat, where are you tuning in from?
Me?
Thank you for the invitation. Really grateful to be here with you. Yeah, where are people tuning in from? I'm in Harlem, New York. And want to say thanks again for this invitation. The day before the inauguration.
Oh, can somebody, we have to mute
Cool. The Bronx.
The Bronx.
Nice, Elliot.
The Bronx.
Chevy Chase. Wow, we're coastal, north, south, east, west. The 4 different rivers that go out from Eden, some might say, or we're trying to think about the world. And also like tomorrow, as we pray for a peaceful transition of power. It's kind of what makes America what America stands for. It's a civic holiday. It's a sacred day. And I know the work that, at least from the time when I was at Chazon, connecting and working with Marla, Rabbi Devora, it's nice to really connect with you now. But I know the work of organizing, it's pretty, it takes a lot of emotional energy, it takes strategy, it takes vision. And I think the day that we're bringing tomorrow, it shows that our democracy works. Please God, it should be peaceful. That the vision that we build out, so the visions that we're building out together, specifically around sustainability, climate justice, social equity, racial justice, racial equity, inclusion, belonging, like cracking the big codes of our generation. So just to sing a little bit more. That everywhere I go, I wanna let it shine, yeah. Everywhere I go, I wanna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I wanna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. And when I think about like social movements transforming our communities, how we lead, we can't do it by ourselves, right? Even as yesterday we celebrate MLK Day, we know that, let's be honest, thousands of people organized around the civil rights movement of the 20th century, and just how in the last 6 months, years, and lifetimes and centuries of thousands, millions of people fighting for enduring for justice. It's kind of wild to think about. And the light that they said, everywhere I go, like to hold on to that courage, I think is something that we shouldn't take for granted in our generation. So the idea that I kind of want to just bring down as we organize and as we think about, our lives personally, collectively, something from the Torah portion, so the rabbis say that the weekly Torah portion, it hints to what's going on in the world. They say it's supposed to be read bismana, and it's the correct time, and that if you look at the weekly Torah portion, you'll actually like see hints to like what's going on in your life, what's going on in the world around us. I don't know how you think it might relate to the inauguration or to other things going on personally or collectively. But what's interesting is we're in the Exodus narratives. We're in the narratives that think Passover Seder night, like tons of the lines in this week's Torah portion covered Seder night. And also there's a lot of biblical commandments that come up, like sanctifying the new moon. There's a lot of really amazing things. But just on the note of organizing, the name of the Torah portion is called Bo. And it means Bo means to come, or to arrive, I guess. Lavo, but to come. Bo el Paro, come to Paro. So the rabbis, some of the Hasidic masters, they say, why does it say Bo el Paro, come to Paro? Shouldn't it say Lech le Paro? Like if God is commanding us to go to Paro, it should say Lech le Paro, go to Paro. But it says Bo el Paro, come to Paro. So the idea that I've heard, and I'm saying this in someone's name that I forget, blanking on who said it first, but it's a teaching that I really love on this text. It's that when it says Bo el Paro, it's being reminded that Moses did not do this by himself, right? He had to organize the elders of all the tribes. He had to revive like a conversation that went dormant for 400 years, right? And he needed the support of Aaron, of Miriam, like there were all these people organizing with Moshe. And that light, that's the saying, I'm gonna let it shine, or that saying that I wanna continue to fight for a generation where there's so many things that we could point to that are the opposite of what we're, of the light. I think it's because we come together. So I know it's over Zoom in this crazy world that we're living in today, but I still think that we have the power of reminding each other, maybe in a different way than ever before in 2021, to be there for each other, to come together, to be together, to journey together. It should be a year of courage and love, a year of believing in Avat Olam, an everlasting love, an eternal love, something that could brings the different kinds of lights, the majestic, the royal. So sing with me and then I'll just pass it back. And this little light of mine, I wanna let it shine. This little light, this big light of mine, I wanna let it shine. This little light of mine, I wanna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. And by the way, just on the last note of light, I've heard the teaching that there's a difference between or and aish. Or is light, and aish means fire. It's not for the sun, just on the note of climate justice and Torah a little bit. On the note of the sun, it's not called aish hachama. It's not supposed to be a fire that destroys. It's called or hachama. The rabbis call the light of the sun, they call it the or hachama. Or is this idea of illumination, of sustaining, of growth. And also with movements, they say that sometimes we lead with light and sometimes we lead with fire. And you know, this idea of how we kind of say, when we say this little light of mine, you know, each of us have different kind of approaches to organizing as well, right? The fire and the light. But at least for the sun, it should be the or. It should be blessed. That the light sustains us, not the opposite. Thank you.
Myself. Thank you so much, Rabbi Isaiah. It's great to meet you, and thank you so much for coming tonight and inspiring us. That was chock full of light. That was beautiful, and it's really wonderful to see all the light of everybody on the screen. Two full pages of lights coming off of it. It's great, just fabulous. So I wanted to go around briefly and have people introduce themselves, and just, although we really did it in the chat, I guess, but just quickly to say hello, because I do want to give time to our speaker. So why don't we just give our name and where we're from, and if you're in an organization, a group, or a congregation, let us know the name of that as well. And if we have some time, we'll do something again at the end. But so I'm Rabbi Devorah Lynn, and I'm normally in Chevy Chase, Maryland, but I've come to Bermuda to help them out for 6 months. So I'm here in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the Atlantic. Let's see, who should we go? Judy Burlfine, why don't you go?
Hi there, I'm Judy Burlfine. I'm in Encinitas, California, north of San Diego, and I'm a member of Temple Solel, and I also co-lead the Jewish Action Team of Citizens Climate Lobby. And Lisa Friedman and Maury Edelman and Carol Singer and I are starting up a Southern California Jewish Earth Alliance chapter, but to do the hard work and write the letters all together during our meeting. So if anyone's interested, we'd love to have you join us.
Great, a great invitation. Lee Paskin.
Hi, I'm at the Rabbinical Assembly right now in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Great, welcome. Scott Lewis.
Hello, I'm Scott Lewis in Pembroke Pines, Florida. I'm a member of Temple Solel, actually in Florida, not the one in California like Judy. And I'm also a member of Higher Ground Initiative.
Great. Yeah, Temple Solel, there's many of them, aren't there? Dee Herman, one of our steering committee members.
Hi, I'm Dee Herman, and I live in Tacoma Park, Maryland, just a few miles from downtown Washington.
Okay. Louise Lipsy.
Hi, I'm Louise Lipsy, and I live in San Rafael, California, north of San Francisco, and I'm affiliated with Congregation Rosh Shalom. I mean, not Rosh Shalom, Kol Shofar. I'm just writing a letter to their synagogue.
All righty.
Kosher bar. I'm trying to get the other tenant on board, by the way.
That's right. That's right. You're active in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Maury Edelman.
Hi, Maury Edelman, member of Temple Beth El, South Orange County, which is in Aliso Viejo, California. And as Judy mentioned, we're and a member of our social action group, which is called Jewish Justice Advocates. And we're trying to start up a branch of the Jewish Earth Alliance.
Yeah, we're very excited to welcome you to that. We look forward to that next week is our meeting, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Whitney Brown.
Hi, everyone. My name is Whitney Brown. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am the communications director for Georgia Interfaith Power and Light.
Great.
That's why I'm randomly here.
Yeah, terrific.
I appreciate the invitation, and we have a group that for the last 18 months has been meeting called Jewish Green Friends, but they are now officially becoming JEA Georgia. So we're excited.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Another new group.
Yeah.
Terrific. Mirala, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Mirala Goldsmith. I'm in Bethesda, Maryland, and co-chair with Devorah of Jewish Earth Alliance and active in the climate action team at a Dot Shalom Reconstructionist congregation.
Thank you. Elliot Rabin.
Elliot Rabin. I live in the Bronx in Riverdale, which is a neighborhood in the Bronx. And very excited that we have started a new group with people from all the different synagogues and all parts of Jewish Riverdale, a new climate activist group, name yet to be determined, but affiliated with JCAN in Manhattan.
This really is a new year. Got a lot of new groups going. That's great. Phyllis Blumberg.
Hi, I'm Phyllis Blumberg, and I'm from Beth Am Israel in Penn Valley, Pennsylvania. And I had an amazing week. I offered on Zoom a how to be an advocate by letter writing, and I used the Jewish Earth Alliance model and literature and everything else. I had 40 people there. I've heard from a whole number of people saying, you inspired me. Can I have your slides? I've gotten letters already from 2 groups of people. 4 high school students have said, we want to use your model. Doesn't matter if we're not Jewish. So this was like an amazing success.
Wow. Our time is now, folks.
Yeah.
Our time is now. The time is now. Vivian Kane.
I live in Bluebell, but my synagogue is in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania. Oh, I'm sorry, I hit the video thing by mistake too. Oh, shoot. Both suburbs of Philadelphia. I'm co-chair of Social Action Tikkun Olam, and we're just getting started with the Jewish Earth Alliance. With the last event, which was really great, that we participated in, Representative Mike Levin, and that was really good. So I hope that we're going to have a climate Shabbat with maybe one of you speaking. So we're just getting started.
Terrific. There's a lot of getting started going on here. We're here for you. Let's see. Lisa Friedman.
Oh, hi, it's Lisa Friedman from Los Angeles. I'm on the steering committee of the ECAR Green Action Team. And also, as you're saying, delighted to be starting a new cohort in Southern California with Judy and Maury and Carol.
Terrific. Terrific. Ed Kopp. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Ed Kopp. I'm in Chevy Chase, Maryland, and I'm a member of the steering committee of Jewish Earth Alliance. And I'm not starting anything new this week.
But you had a great webinar last week. So there you go. Steve Katz.
I'm I'm part of the Havra Shalom, which is a Reconstructionist synagogue climate action team. And we are affiliated with you in some fashion if we get the steering committee to say, okay.
And where are you?
Portland, Oregon.
Oh, in Portland. Oh, great. Oh, welcome. Yeah. Yeah, that's terrific. Carol Singer.
Hi, I'm Carol Singer from Temple Bethel of South Orange County and the social action group there, Jewish Justice Advocates. And I am happy to be starting the Southern California contingent with Judy and Maury and Lisa.
Yay, great. And terrific. Sharon Smaller.
Hi there, my name is Sharon Smaller and I'm from Evanston, Illinois, just outside of Chicago, and a member of Beth Emmet Free Synagogue, and I serve on the Social Action Committee, and we're just stepping up our advocacy, you know, in terms of the environment during this pandemic time, especially because we're sort of limited in what we can do. So.
All right, well, we're here to help you. Fran.
Glushiko. I'll help you out.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Glushiko. I was going to make an attempt, but I thought I'd let you do it.
I answered to Fran. I'm from Baltimore. I'm a member of Chizuk Emunah Congregation and their Social Justice Advocacy Committee, and I'm trying to start a movement towards also being active in environmental justice and in general climate reality.
Fabulous, fabulous. All right, let me go to page 2. Let's see, Louise, no. Oh, there's some, let's see, Lisa, all right. Oh, so there's repeats on page 8. Eliane Lieberman.
Hi, I'm Eliane Lieberman from Portland, Oregon, and I'm finishing my work at school today, which is why I've got my mask on. And I'm also a member of Havara Shalom, the climate action team, and we actually are steering to give us permission to be, we are now members of Jewish Earth Alliance. For probably like 2 or 3 months, we had our first Zoom letter writing party. So we're on our way, and also I'm a member of Citizens Climate Lobby, but I haven't joined the Jewish breakout thing. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. Howard Schwid.
Hi, Howie Schwid, and I'm here with Maury Edelman and Carol Singer from Temple Bethel of South Orange County. And Mike Levin is the representative of the district right next door to us. So he's very local to us.
Oh, great. Terrific. All right, Carla Allern, my neighbor.
There we go. Yes, I'm Carla Ellern, and I go to Tiferet Israel with Devorah when she's in town. And I'm on the Green Committee.
Great. Thanks for coming. Adele Thompson.
I'm from Portland, Oregon, and the same congregation as Steve Katz and Eliane, and the same committee. Mirla was a guest at our last committee meeting, and that was very inspiring.
Terrific. All right. Sarah Just Michael, is that it?
Yep, that's me. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Just Michael. I'm from New Rochelle, New York, but now I live in Manhattan. And I work at an organization called Grow Torah, and we teach environmental and Torah concepts through gardening at Jewish day schools, mostly modern Orthodox, and we're at a few others too.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Glad you're here. All right, Lawrence Rosenthal.
Hi, my name is Lawrence. I'm honored to be here. I apologize for being late. I just was added to the board of the Georgia Interfaith Power and Light, GIPL, and I had my first board meeting tonight, and so that just ended, and so now I'm here. So thank you, Whitney, for connecting us through the email, and I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to hearing more.
Terrific, terrific. Better late than never. It's fun. It's great. Shaul Rosen, I can't see the end of your
Rosen
name.
Rager.
Rager. Mm-hmm.
I'm in Southern California in Sage, which is east of Temecula. I'm not currently affiliated with any temple, and I'm with Citizens Climate Lobby.
Ah, well, maybe we can meet you up with the new Southern California group.
Yeah, Judy and I
because
have met.
you can join as an individual.
Right.
That'd be great. All right. And David, I don't see a last name.
Sorry, I can't figure out how to get the last name on there. This is David Kratz. I run an all-volunteer nonprofit called 8C, Ecological Judaism. We were founded in 2001, so this is now our 20th year of connecting Jews and the environment.
And where are you?
The organization's based in New York, and I'm in DC.
Oh, you're in DC. Okay, great. Phil Glosserman, you just came on, yes?
Hi, everybody. I'm Phil Glosserman. I live in Los Angeles, and I'm not currently affiliated with any groups or any congregation. I'm beginning my kind of climate change advocacy journey and attending lots of different meetings and checking things out. So thanks for having me.
Well, you too can check in with Lisa Friedman and Judy Burlfine and join the Southern California group if you wish. That'd be great. And Rebecca, is it Rare?
It's Rear. So hi.
Rear,
Yeah,
yes.
Rebecca Rear. I am
Yeah,
also,
we met.
yeah, at the with the meeting with Van Hollen staff.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm from Baltimore originally and likely moving to Maryland soon. And I am not affiliated with a synagogue, but am the director of the Climate for Health program at Eco America. So so rooted in Jewish values, but leading with the public health science on climate solutions.
Right, great, all right. And let's see, Susan's iPhone, who be that? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, it's Susan Milner. Hi, everybody.
Oh, hi.
I'm from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, commuting suburb of Philadelphia, and with Congregation Colomet in Yardley, PA. And Mirala was our guest at a event we hosted, and it was terrific. It was just when COVID hit, and we had to do it virtually. But as everybody knows, she comes across great, whether she's in person or on the screen. And our committee, I'm the chair of the Tikkun Olam committee, and we have taken on environmental justice and racial justice and economic justice as intersectional issues, because we know that if we can't solve one without addressing the others, but have had many programs on the environment, and really hope to get a more active campaign of letter writing going. I have somebody who just raised her hand. I hope she'll help us move forward with more letter writing.
Well, this was very, very exciting. We've got 3 or 4 or 5 new groups formulating. It's fantastic. It's such a energetic time, an energetic group of people. So thank you all so much for coming. And Mirala is putting up lots of links that you can link into to contact us, so that we can contact you. If you're unaffiliated, haven't joined a group yet, that will help you find people that you can work with. So fantastic. Thank you all so much. Next, I would like I'd like to introduce our speaker for tonight, Jamie DeMarco. He's a graduate in chemistry and environmental science from Warren Wilson College, which is just outside Asheville, North Carolina, and a very hands-on experiential, I was going to say experimental, but experiential college. He said that it's over 100 years old. I think you said, Jamie, in the late 1800s. It was founded. He has worked with the Friends Committee on National Legislation, the Citizens Climate Lobby on Carbon Pricing, and now is the Federal and Maryland Policy Director at the Chesapeake Climate Action Network. And if you only thought that the Chesapeake Climate Action Network was focused on the Chesapeake, Jamie is going to expand our horizons and navigate us through the direction that CCAN is going to take nationally. So let us open the floor to Jamie. I've lost you. Let's see, where'd you go?
I'm here.
Oh, good. There you are. Good.
Yeah, the squares jump around.
Yes, they do. They do.
Well,
All
thank you
right.
for that introduction, and thank you for having me on. It feels amazing to hear all of the energy that is coming up. It seems like these groups are just springing out of the ground everywhere, and that wasn't always the case. That wasn't always the case. I think, as you said, Deborah, it's our time is now for this movement. I wish there was this much new energy forming around climate groups when I was in high school, because that was when, up until that point, I had really, I grew up in Baltimore, but as far as I could tell, life was pretty hunky-dory. And I knew there were problems in the world, but we were working on them. And I was living in my bubble until one day I had a girlfriend. And sometimes it's only the significant other who can break through to you, who said to me, Jamie, the lives we live come at the cost of people and places all over the world. And that was a shock to my system, believe it or not. And there weren't citizens climate lobby groups for me to join at the time. There weren't, I didn't know how to plug in. I didn't know what to do. All I could do was feel sad. And I couldn't go to a party without just seeing the gas in people's cars and being like, wow, we all showed up at this party and now there are farmers in Bangladesh whose fields are going to be inundated with salt water from the sea because we just wanted to see each other. What is this world? And I decided that I didn't want to be part of the problem. The only thing I knew how to do is I stopped riding in cars. And for 2.5 years, I would not get into a car. I made occasional exceptions for like Thanksgiving with family. But other than that, I would bike and I would take public transportation. As you heard, I grew up in Baltimore and went to school in Western North Carolina. And I actually did that bike trip from Baltimore to Western North Carolina because I felt like I was doing everything that I could just to not contribute. And when I was in college, I started volunteering on the Asheville Beyond Coal campaign, which is part of the larger Sierra Club's Beyond Coal campaign, which now has successfully retired more than 200 coal plants in the country. But at the time, we were just working on this one in Asheville. And I remember I would like meet every week with this half a dozen group of people, and I was the intern, so I was taking notes. And they were saying, okay, we're gonna get that coal plant to shut down. And it seemed unfathomable to me because we were just a group of people in a room. And that was the biggest machine I've ever seen. Like, what could we possibly do to stop those engines from running? But they worked and they organized and I watched it happen and they succeeded in getting that coal plant to shut down. As that larger campaign did, 200 coal plants across the country. And I just thought to myself, if all the people who had worked on those campaigns had only ridden their bikes instead of organizing, then how many more coal plants would be operational today? And that was really when I decided that I was not going to make my goal to not be part of the problem. I was going to make my goal to be part of the solution. And I threw myself at organizing, and I've been here in the climate movement ever since. And there's never been a time like now in the climate movement. Movements are really powerful. There's probably some people on this call who remember when 500,000 people marched on New York City in 1982 for nuclear disarmament. And the global stockpile of nuclear weapons began shrinking in the face of all that people power. Even before the dissolving of the Soviet Union, the stockpile, which had been growing, began to shrink because that movement was so powerful. But movements are not static forces. They don't exist with a lot of power for a lot of time. They grow, they peak, and they fade, just as the nuclear disarmament movement grew, peaked, managed to eliminate 90% of all the nuclear weapons in the world, and has since faded. And I think the climate movement and the climate justice movement has been growing for a long time. And just tomorrow at noon, for the first time, We will have a Democratic trifecta at the national level with a strong mandate to act on climate change. Those political stars may not align again until it is too late. So the next 2 years are the 2 years that we have to get as much as we possibly can done. And I worked at the Citizens Climate Lobby. I'm a firm believer that we need to try and find bipartisan solutions. And having said that, it's going to be when Democrats are in control that we pass the sweeping national climate legislation that we need. And let's try to make it bipartisan. But now is the time. Now is the time. The next 100 days are going to be written in the carbon record for millennia. And I think we should all keep that in mind and do everything that we can. The Chesapeake Climate Action Network, where I work, I almost said Citizens Climate Lobby, where I used to work. But the Chesapeake Climate Action Network has been a regional climate advocacy organization for more than 17 years. And our founder created us when there were almost no groups with climate in the name. Hard to believe, but 17 years ago, it's one of the very first groups with climate in the name. We've been fighting for groundbreaking climate legislation in the Chesapeake region, Maryland, DC, Virginia. But we're changing because we know it's going to win or lose at the national level at this point, where the politics of climate change are and where the physics of climate change are. We're winning or we're losing at the national level. And this is we're even thinking about changing our name to the Capital Climate Action Network because we want to give all the resources we can afford to helping pass sweeping national climate justice legislation. And what that looks like is largely holding Biden to the promises he made on the campaign trail. He ran on a platform of 100% carbon-free electricity by 2035. 100% carbon-free electricity by 2035. It's amazing that he ran on that and he brought it up at the debates and he got more votes than any president in US history. And now we have to hold him to it. It's just amazing to me that these goals are as ambitious as they are. It was only 3 or 4 years ago that Bernie Sanders introduced a bill in Congress calling for carbon-free electricity by 2050. And that was ambitious. And now Biden, the supposed moderate, is saying 100% carbon-free electricity by 2035. And that's going to be hard to pass. And we think it should be done through reconciliation so that we can be sure to get the votes. Reconciliation, for folks who don't know, is a Senate tricky term, a weird procedural maneuver, where for certain things you can enact legislation without getting to 60 votes. Because of the filibuster, right now, if you want to pass a law in the Senate, you essentially need 60 votes. Joe Manchin from West Virginia says he is firmly opposed to getting rid of the filibuster. With 51 votes right now, the Democrats could get rid of the filibuster if they wanted to. The Senate rules are just whatever 51 senators say they are. But so long as the filibuster is in place, we're going to have to rely on this quirky reconciliation tool to pass a lot of climate legislation. Fortunately, there are 2 opportunities to use reconciliation in 2021. The first we think will come very early, January or February, where Biden is going to pass sweeping COVID relief through reconciliation. This $1.9 trillion package we're hearing about is going to have COVID relief, it's going to have healthcare reform, it's going to have recovery checks, survival checks, and that's the near-term package. Then looking ahead to late spring, early summer, we hear there's going to be a second reconciliation that moves through Congress. And that second reconciliation is going to be energy, it's going to be infrastructure, it's going to be recovery, as opposed to relief. The first one's relief, the second one's recovery, and climate. So that big infrastructure, recovery, climate package is where we think the national climate legislation we've been hoping for so many years is going to be included. And that is where the vote is going to be absolutely critical. And I think between now and then, we should all be doing everything we can to build up our members of Congress, to know that, let them know that we're watching. I love to hear folks are meeting with their senators. And the House is going to be important too. If the Democrats had a huge majority in the House, it would be an easy vote. But with the slim majorities they have, every House member matters. So whichever party your House member is a part of, you need to be meeting with them and saying, please, 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 we need 100% carbon-free electricity and trillions of dollars invested into climate justice to make sure it's a just transition, both for the workers and for the communities that have been disproportionately impacted by fossil fuel projects. Of course, the electricity sector is a shrinking piece of the greenhouse gas emissions pie. The largest piece of our greenhouse gas emissions pie today is the transportation sector, the cars and trucks on the highway. And Biden right now has the authority to enact through executive action a zero emission vehicle standard requirement, 100% zero emission vehicle sales by a certain date. A lot of folks in California, of course, your governor has already through executive action said that after 2035, all vehicle sales will be 100% zero emission vehicles. And then shortly after Governor Newsom in California did it, Governor Baker, a Republican in Massachusetts, made the same executive order that after 2035, all new vehicle sales will be zero emission in Massachusetts. So there's actually bipartisan support for this executive action. At the Chesapeake Climate Action Network, we're going to spend the first half of the year pushing Biden and Congress to go as bold as they can in the energy climate infrastructure package and hopefully enact that carbon-free electricity standard. And the second half of the year, we'll be pushing the Biden administration to use executive orders to say after 2035, there will be no more gasoline-powered vehicles sold in the United States. There's a rough estimate, a way to think of the emissions pie of the United States is 30% electricity, 30% transportation, 30% buildings, 10% everything else. That's not entirely accurate, but that's usually the rough model I use in my head. And so then we'll have tackled buildings, we'll have tackled electricity. No, sorry, we'll have tackled transportation and electricity, and buildings will be next. That, broadly speaking, is the framework that we're working on. It's a framework that a lot of groups like the bigger than us are working on, like the Environmental Defense Fund. They have a Power Up campaign, which is calling for carbon-free electricity by 2035 and 100% zero-emission vehicles, new sales by 2035. And so we think this is a lot of where the climate movement is aligning around this sort of standards, investments, and justice. Right? You have standards, you have investments to make sure that you're protecting workers, protecting low-income communities and communities of color, and you have justice to make sure that it's being spent equitably. And I think that is where we can all be making the biggest difference, pushing on our members of Congress in the coming weeks and months ahead of what hopefully will be a climate shaping legislation that we can pass. I think those are the thoughts that I have, but I want to leave as much time as possible for questions.
Fabulous. Great. Yeah, some of us have been around a long time. I don't know what metaphor to use, beating your head against the wall, spitting into the wind, just decades and decades of a lot of nothing. And then it reaches a tipping point and, just takes off. It's like a taxiing airplane that's taxiing, and then suddenly it takes off. And this is the time. This is the takeoff time. When do you think the recovery and climate stuff is going to happen? Do you think the first 6 months, or you think the second half of the year? Or did you have any estimate about that? Or it's not important, we should just keep pushing on it?
I mean, nobody really knows. I think people are talking about late spring, early summer, definitely before the August recess.
Oh, okay.
I think between starting tomorrow all the way until the August recess will be like the time when Biden has momentum on his side to pass big sweeping legislation.
Right. So yeah, so our February action alert is 100% zero. I love that phrase, 100% zero, 100% zero emissions. I want to get a bumper sticker, 100% zero. So yes, I'd like to see if people have, let me see if I can get the whole screen here. Vivian, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, when you go for executive orders versus legislation, because it seems like executive orders, then somebody else can come in and change them maybe quicker than you could change a law, but who knows? So I was just curious about that.
No, I think that's right. I mean, the first choice is always legislation, and that's why like reconciliation is a law once it's passed, and that's what we want to get enacted. We think that it's much harder for a bunch of legislators to pass a zero emission vehicle sale mandate. So far, no state has passed that through law, but multiple states have done it through executive action. And part of this is that the economy is going in one direction. Like if there are 4 years where this zero emission mandate is out there, that shapes the auto industry and manufacturing decisions. That even if it gets turned 180, those car manufacturers are going to say, well, we're not going to turn 180. We're moving in this direction. And the next president could whipsaw us again. So we're just going to keep going on these trajectories. And
So the business community will take over the momentum from politics. Yeah. Another question, anybody else have a question? Let me see, let me look at page 2 here. Anybody else? Anybody on the telephone? Just unmute yourself.
I have a question.
Yeah, Mirala.
Jamie, that was amazing. Thank you so much. You answered a lot of questions that I've been asking myself for the last few weeks. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about the infrastructure package and what you see happening. Because when we met with Senator Cardin's staff this week and we asked about that, the staffer said, well, the infrastructure package was already passed out of committee 2 weeks ago, and it probably won't change that much. So you should focus on other things. And I'm not sure if I totally understood her answer. I don't know if she meant what came out of his committee, maybe, but like, how will that infrastructure package be put together? And can we have an influence on that?
That's a great question. And yeah, everyone on the Hill has a million different opinions about what's happening. I am by no means a definitive source. Like, people need crystal balls to protect Congress. So this is just my general sense of things. But like this package, we anticipate sort of emanating from the White House in the same way that this relief package, like Biden held a press conference, said, these are the outlines of the bill. Obviously, it takes a legislator to actually introduce it, but we anticipate being sort of a Biden stamped endeavor. And so I think calling on Biden and what's nice is we all share him as a president. We don't have to look up our specific representative. We can all do action alerts to him, urging him like, hey, stay bold. You ran on this. We're going to hold you accountable to this. 100% carbon-free electricity by 2035. Put it in your infrastructure plan. Don't accept a deal without it. I think as much as we can be doing that and banging pots and pans around this issue between now and whenever he holds that press conference announcing the outlines of the bill, that will increase the odds that it gets included.
Rebecca, you had a question.
Yeah, thanks. So Jamie, what is your thinking around the ask for the office that Gina McCarthy will be running in the White House? So what, this is a new position, domestic climate czar. We can find a better name for that. But what is your specific ask? What should we be doing to support the work of that new office, that new role? That's question 1. And question 2 is Office of Science Technology Policy was just elevated to a cabinet level position. What are the opportunities there, and what can we be doing to encourage this new cabinet level position to be prioritizing climate solutions?
That is a great question. Thank you. Rebecca and I have worked together, and Rebecca is one of the most incredible advocates that I've met. But
plus, I like to throw curveballs to guest speakers, so
yeah, that's also an important skill. I mean, one of the most promising things about Biden is that he has sort of said over and over and followed it up with action that they are going to prioritize climate across the spectrum. Everything they touch is going to have a climate angle. And this, that's what we've been saying for decades, right? Every issue is a climate issue. We actually have a president who is walking that talk. Like just today, Yellen, the nominee for the Secretary of the Treasury, said that she is going to make climate financing a lead part of her job and making sure that we're assessing climate exposure and climate risk when we're assessing the value of companies and divesting where there's risk. It's like, I remember making that case to my college board of trustees saying we should divest because there's all these climate liabilities that aren't accounted for. And it was so sort of like these kids who were naive and didn't know what they were talking about. It's like this out of left field idea. And now it's coming out of the nominee who will soon be the Secretary for the Treasury. But so all that to say that Gina McCarthy, who's going to be domestic climate czar, I still don't fully understand how much, because Biden has a legislative team for all like his general congressional agenda. I'm not sure how much Gina is going to be sort of like Hill facing and trying to help Biden enact his climate agenda on the Hill versus sort of more EPA facing and trying to govern the sort of cross-departmental implementation of climate strategy. But if you're asking what our ask is for anyone in the Biden administration, it's 100% carbon-free electricity by 2035 over and over and over. I think the more that we can reemphasize that back to them, the more it trickles up. And hopefully someone will say it in a meeting with Biden, like, oh, we've heard a lot about this 100% carbon-free electricity. We really got to do something about that. Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, and I think Gina too might be convening a lot of roundtables and things like that to start, right? Sort of a public, like a massive public dialogue. And so it might be a role of this group. Jewish Earth Alliance could really just sort of offer thanks and help without a specific ask. In this case for her specifically, that it might just be like, hey, we're a resource for you. We're really excited about this new position, and we care about it, rooted in our Jewish values. So let us know what you need. So that might be an approach that's specific to her in particular, because she really gets the issues as a very effective leader. So maybe perhaps a nuanced approach to her might be a thank you and an offer to help. And then an ask maybe, but sort of just a thought as you were talking. I was just thinking further.
I love that.
But I don't think it's well known that when Obama came in, he sent every department home with homework to have a climate plan for every single department. And that homework is in a file someplace. It's not like they're starting from scratch. And probably Biden knows this, and Gina McCarthy
So is the pandemic. So is the pandemic response. Right, that was written too.
Exactly.
But,
exactly. Right. We're running out of time, I'm afraid. We like to try to keep to an hour, but we know we're going to be in contact with you, Jamie, throughout the year. So we want to thank you so much for giving us a great insight into where your organization is going and where hopefully we are going to go, and giving us great hope for the future of and the coming 100 days. Yes.
And just to answer Phyllis's question really quick, I think a sign-on letter is effective, especially an organizational sign-on letter. Sounds like there's lots of organizations represented on this call. We're running one of those right now.
Okay, great. All right, Mirala, you're on it. All right, thank you so much, Jamie. Thanks for coming and talking with us. This was really informative and great.
Thanks so much for all the work you do, and it's an honor to be invited on.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my email in the chat really quick if anyone wants to follow up with me.
Okay. I wanted to ask Ed on our steering committee. He was one of the organizers for the last week's webinar, the climate on Capitol Hill. What's the direction of the 117th? What's the priorities of the 117th Congress? So I want you to, can you give us an executive summary in a couple of minutes, Ed?
Sure. I think that both tonight and that seminar or webinar reflect the role that Jewish Earth Alliance is and hopes to continue playing in what is a very broad, becoming a very broad Jewish environmental movement. More than 20 organizations, or approximately 20 organizations, some of them synagogues, some of them national, some of them are major Jewish religious denominations nationally, sponsored this. And Jewish Earth Alliance's role really was to serve that whole group with information and tactics about how to move forward on our issues at a congressional level. It was with the cooperation of all of those sponsors, we had 370 folks who registered to participate, and a very large proportion of those, about 270, actually showed up. And we had very useful input from Representative Mike Levin and from Rebecca Lieber of Mother Jones, and real inspiration as well as information from Rabbi Nina Carden. And what we'll be trying to do in the coming, and I hesitate to say months, because we're now in a situation where every week is going to count. So action alerts could show up, not just on a monthly basis as we have things we need to do, but we will be trying in these coming days through webinars, through action alerts, through other communications to make sure we at Jewish Earth Alliance are helping Jews across the country in a wide variety of organizations know what they can do and do effectively in this congressional environment. I can't think of a better example of our trying to do that than having Jamie speaking with us tonight.
Great, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, gives us a direction to go. And lastly, I want to ask Mirala to go over, brief us on the action alert for February.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Devorah. Thank all of you. I was going to talk about some of the updates about what's going on across the country with Jewish activism, but we already heard about what's going on in Pennsylvania, in Maryland, in Oregon, in California. I think we have representation here from Georgia, from the latest Jewish Climate Action Network group that started up. And I think someone was here, maybe it was Sharon from Illinois, where in Chicago, a number of communities are getting together for advocacy meetings and to participate in our campaign. So we're just so excited to be with all of you and to have your participation. So our action alert this month ties in fantastically with what Jamie was just talking about. We decided to focus on a piece of the transportation puzzle. As Jamie said, the transportation sector generates the largest share of US greenhouse gas emissions. And our speaker on the webinar, Representative Mike Levin, is a leader in this area, and in the last Congress introduced a bill that would require a phase-in to 100% zero emission vehicles. That's basically electric vehicles, but you should go and read up about it because there are a lot more electric type vehicles than I realized, and we have some great links in the action alert. And as Jamie said, this is something that can become part of a legislative package. Of course, we'd love Biden to do everything by executive action as quickly as possible, and maybe he will, but it certainly can't hurt to have the call coming from Congress as well. So please take a look at the action alert for this month and get your communities involved. And we look forward to receiving your letters, to delivering them to Capitol Hill, to helping you to set up constituent meetings. If anyone wants to do a constituent meeting with your member of Congress or their staff, we are here to help you do that. So thank you for your activism.
Great. Thank you, Mirala, for your enthusiasm and organization. You're fantastic. So I wanted to thank all of you for coming. It's wonderful to see such our regulars and also so many new faces and so many new groups coming online. It's just we're at some sort of tipping point here. It's wonderful to see. I think, the last 3 months of 2020 was so draining that people are just ready to shoot out of the starting gun, the starting gate for 2021, and here we go. So I wanted to leave you with a quote from Václav Havel, who was the president of Czechoslovakia. He got rid of communism in Czechoslovakia and the first president of the Czech Republic. He defines the difference between hope and optimism, which I had a discussion with another group this week. Hope is an ability to work for something because it is good. It's not the same thing as optimism. It's not the conviction that hope is not the conviction that something will turn out well or has a chance to succeed, but the certainty that something makes sense. Something is good regardless of how it turns out. I think that the deepest and most important form of hope, the only one that can keep us above water and urge us to good works, and the only true source of the breathtaking dimension of the human spirit, is something we get, as it were, from elsewhere. Maybe some kind of higher source, even if that source feels like it's coming right from here, from our heart or our soul. So, tzaddikim, so righteous one, tzedek tirdov, pursue what is right in spite of the obstacles. May you get your strength from hope, from tikva, from the infinite energy of the universe. And may you and your family and friends be blessed with good health, safety, and security, and persevere in this good work together. It's wonderful to have all of you together tonight, to gather and together. All right, have a good evening and enjoy tomorrow. Be uplifted by tomorrow, and we'll see you next month. Mirala is sharing a screen with us. Mirala, what are you sharing?
I'm sharing a few announcements.
Oh, there you go.
At the beginning.
Oh, great.
Good night, and thank you, Devara. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. It was fabulous.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye all. Are you staying on, Marilyn?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Anyone wants to socialize?
Yeah. Let's see.
They're not, so I guess it's just me. I'll stop my screen share.
Yeah. Maury. Hi, Maury.
Hi, Maury.
All right. We'll see you next week. Phew. Wow. 5 minutes late. Not too bad.
No, that was good. I'm stopping the recording.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, please.